Hello and welcome to another Brew Sesh. I say another, it's been
A long time.
a hot minute since we've done one of these, yeah. I mean, I think we intended to do a lot more of these, and
It was,
then you just
yeah, we just sort of like, standard became really boring. I think that was the problem. Every set that came out, I always looked at the cards and was like, nothing really interests me here. Like, the first time we did this was what? Ravnican, what was the second Ravnica set? Because it
wasn't even standard, it was a postmodern
Oh yeah,
one we
you're
did.
right, because it was like postmodern Teza Karlov, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we've seen a bunch of bannings in standard, a lot of bannings in standard, and now it's almost tolerable again.
I mean, it's better than it was, that's for sure. It's not as oppressive as like Omnath and all that stuff that used to exist. So there's a bit more space to have a bit more fun, which I think is what we're mainly focused on when we try and do these decks.
Now, the card you want to talk about today, right, is Zagras Feast
Well,
of Heartbeats.
this was you, because we were trying to come up with a suggestion for what we talk about this show, and you sent me a video that you took, I assume on your phone, of you with like 20 Zagrases that you had like spec bought, I imagine, to try and be like, man, this card's gonna be insane, and it hasn't really.
Card is sick.
Yeah, the card's really cool. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm perfectly happy to try and build around this because I think the card's awesome, but this was entirely you being like, I want this to earn me money, so that's fine by me.
So Zagras Feast of Heartbeats, Flying Death Touch Haste, 4/4. So it's Mantis Rider, right?
It's a big Mantis Rider. It obviously doesn't block as well as Mantis Rider did because it doesn't have vigilance, but it is a.
I mean, it blocks pretty well. It's got Death
Aye,
Touch.
but you can't attack with it and keep blocking with it. Like, it's not a consistent threat because sometimes it'll be tapped and then Death Touch doesn't matter.
But here's the thing. And this is the thing that I didn't get on first reading of this card. Other creatures you control have Death Touch.
Yes.
So he doesn't need to block because all your other creatures block like an absolute boss now. Because like when I first read this card, my assumption was I like attacking creatures because normally like these guys like don't give a static.
Yeah.
Like all
It's
your guys
conditional.
just like when they attack they. Yeah. But this one isn't.
No, it's just
like,
everything else you have has Death Touch, which is.
Yeah. So like your other creatures just block super well once Zagras is in play. And then he's got this little bit of trinket text that's whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a planeswalker, destroy that planeswalker.
Nice to have, like, decent little line of text.
Oh, yeah. I think he's really good, like especially in like a world of like Ugins and stuff, because like the fact Ugin ticks up so quickly, like Zagras just comes down and kills it.
Mm-hmm.
Like so he's pretty good. The fact he's got haste like basically makes him like a hero's downfall for planeswalkers a lot of the time because.
I mean, because
There's not a lot
even
of flyers
it's a good point for Ugin as well, because most of the time your Ugin's going to come down and wipe the board, right? Like, it's going to be clean board, which means that your like reduced cost for Zagras isn't going to be a thing, but it's still fine to just play him for 6 and kill the Ugin. Like, that's still
Now the reduced cost is the interesting bit because when you first look at this card, you're like, right, okay, he's a 6 mana legendary vampire. We've seen a bunch of these. And I'm comparing the guy to Mantis Rider, but I think he's a lot closer to Mantis Rider than he looks because of that cost reduction mechanic. Because this thing can be like a 3 mana spell. This guy can be a 2 mana spell.
If you really want to work it, it could be 2 mana, which is kind of nuts for a 4/4 hasty flyer. But yeah, most of the time it's probably going to be 3 mana, 4 mana, something like that.
Well, see, 4 mana seems reasonable.
4 mana, 4/4 hasty flyer, great, like super good.
Because there's a curve there, right? 'Cause it's like you go 2-drop, you go 3-drop,
That
and then that's you've got 2 party members from Zagras, right? So you just need to make sure that your 2-drop and your 3-drop have different creature types. Well, different creature types within a vacuum.
Yeah, within the vacuum of a party.
Yeah, we're obviously going to build with that in mind. Not going to have any soldiers.
So this was the thing that I had a problem with, because I had a quick scan over standard over creature types and whatnot. If you go back far enough, like say Throne of Eldraine level, you start hitting. There are a lot of knights and there are a lot of soldiers and there's a lot of humans, but not a lot of warriors. Like, which is harmful to us because we obviously don't care if it's a knight or a soldier, but
yeah. So I'm interested in hearing like your theory crafting this, because I've thought a little bit about this.
So I sat and tried to think about this in a couple of different ways. Obviously, there was like the party route of like how many members of a party can you get for this thing to be as cheap as possible, and there were two main problems with that I found. One, like I was saying earlier, not a lot of choice in terms of the specific party thing of like warriors and wizards and rogues and clerics. Obviously there's a lot of rogues because that's like a tier 1 deck right now, but it's the other things kind of are a problem. The other problem is that when you do find them, a lot of them aren't very good. They're very like they're either very like bad on their own, or they have a lot of like conditional text that means that you have to do something that's not just play Zagras to make it good.
Yeah, Zagras is interesting because like the party decks and a lot of the party payoffs are in blue-white.
Yeah. And
he's obviously on like the opposite side of the colour wheel from that, so like we're not going to get to play any of the what's the gain 3 life and draw some cards?
Gain 3 life
party spell.
Oh yeah, I know the one you mean. I can't remember what it's called, but the gain 3 life and draw.
It's called Spoils of Adventure. The one that's like you gain 3 life, draw 3 cards, reduce it by 1 for every party. So like there's none of that. It is quite interesting because, like I'm saying, he's on the opposite side of the colour wheel from like where a lot of the payoffs for being a party are. So yeah, you are really scraping the barrel sometimes.
It feels so. I started looking at it in terms of like the party context, and the only way that I could find that you could potentially even make it work is if you start going into 3-color territory and you start being like Mardu or something like that, because Mardu starts having there's a lot more warriors and clerics and stuff when you start throwing white in that make it slightly less bad. I don't want to say good, but like slightly less bad. And then, so this was the real thing that got me, started looking further back, hit back to Throne of Eldraine, and started reading a card that I really liked but never saw any play because I don't think it's very good, but I really like it. Right. The card called Outlaw's Merriment.
Oh yeah.
So it's a 4 mana enchantment. It's like red, white, white 1, I think it is. Red, white, white 1. And it's an enchantment that says at the beginning of your turn you make one of 3 different kinds of tokens at random, and it's like a 1/2 cleric that gains you. I can't remember. I need to look up what the actual text on the Outlaw's Merriment.
So I've got it in front of me here, right? So it makes a 3/1 warrior, a 2/1 cleric with lifelink and haste, and a 1/2 rogue with when it enters the battlefield deals 1. That's a super obvious plan. Oh my god, that builds a party
exactly.
by itself.
So that was my point, where you can start supplementing the fact that you don't have party choice by playing that and having that make your party for you. Also, it's not sick. Legendary, so you can play multiples of it and have all these tokens appear out of nowhere, and they're all tokens, so they all get death touch as well. So they're all super good blockers despite being kind of crap creatures.
Right, so my thinking with this though, right, is that this costs 4, right? So it kind of defeats the curve we're going for of like a 2, a 3 into Zagras, right? This is just adding more 4s. But that's really sweet, man. I missed that on my first glance over. See, I think we've come at this from different ways. I think you've been very fair with like how you intend to get Zagras into play.
My first thought was like, just read what the card says and try and do the party thing, and I was like, okay, white, interesting. And then I didn't think about this too much because I got thrown off, which was just about how quickly can you get Zagras into play and attacking without casting it, which is like recursion, and like how do you like bin it and then recur it, like, or like reanimate it or something like that.
Right, well see, that's very interesting because like there is a card that does both of the things that we need it to, and it's the Null Priest of Oblivion. I don't know if you looked at this one.
No.
So it's a what's it called? Child of the Night. So it's a 1 and a black for
what
a 2/1
set was this from?
Also, it's from Zendikar. So Null Priest of Oblivion. So it's a Child of the Night. It's a 2/1 vampire cleric with Menace and Lifelink, so it's better than Child of the Night. But it's also got Kicker. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a 2-mana cleric, or it's a 6-mana cleric that reanimates something straight to the battlefield.
Oh yeah, this was the thing that had the really cool art. Okay, yes, I remember this card now. Right.
So I mean, like, I feel like the Null Priest is like an auto-include
in both decks.
In whatever we're trying to do with Zagras. Well, just I think in anything, because it's in Zagras' colours and it gives us a mana sink. So and it's just like, it's not a terrible card, right? It's a 2-mana 2/1 with Lifelink and Menace.
And it's a cleric.
And then it scales up, and it's a cleric, which I think is going to be the hardest things for us to find, unless we do start dipping into a third colour. But like I was saying, like, I think you're being very fair with this, because like, you're trying to go, how do I get clerics? How do I get warriors? How do I get rogues?
So I don't know what your idea is then, if you're not being fair about it.
What you haven't considered is there are a couple of cards that are cleric, warrior, rogue, wizard, all in one card.
Are there? What card is that?
Right. So there's the Stonework Pack Beast.
Oh, the 2-mana colourless thing that counts as everything.
Yeah, and lets you filter mana through it. Right. So I was looking at that and I was like, okay, that's all of them. So I mean, it's a pretty crappy creature.
Hang on. So this is it's a 2-mana colourless 2/1 that is a beast that is also a cleric, a rogue, a warrior, and a wizard. And for 2 mana, you can make a mana of any colour. So does that mean it's 5 creature types? Is it a beast and a cleric and a warrior and a rogue and a wizard?
So it does have 5 creature types, but for the purposes of party, it only counts as one towards your party. Yeah. A party has to be individual.
Oh right, yes, I forgot about that clause. Yeah.
So he isn't a full party, but he can make up the missing ones.
Okay, yeah.
So he's not a great creature, but he's very good at doing the party thing.
Okay.
Well, potentially key. And he fixes the mana, and I was thinking, that's what got me thinking down the 3-colour route. Now, I totally missed the enchantment you were talking about. But then my head went to, well, where else can I cheat things? Can I cheat Zagras in, or what else can I use? So I was thinking about other colours, and then I remembered there's the other creature that has that text as well, that's green.
Oh, are you sure this just isn't an excuse for you to play green-black again? Is this not?
Well, I mean, it's going to be Jund at the very least. It's the Tajuru Paragon. So the Paragon, it's a 1 and a green for a 3/2, so it's pretty reasonable on cost. And it's an elf and a cleric and a rogue and a warrior and a wizard. And then it also has Kicker, look at the top 6 cards, reveal a cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard.
Okay, so that kind of helps get you through your deck to find your other bits. That's kind of...
Yeah, well, and it's another sync, was what I was thinking. Because, like, the way I was thinking, if this is like an aggressively slanted deck, things like the Null Priest and the Paragon, like, give us late.
Well, yeah, it gives you something to do, yeah.
Yeah, if we start, if like, the curve is just all like 1, 2, and 3 things to like put Zagras into play as soon as possible, these Kicker cards give us stuff to do.
Okay, yeah, that works. That's interesting. Okay.
But then I was looking at what Jund has in terms of mana, right?
Okay.
And it's tragic.
So I was looking at what Mardu had in terms of mana, and I didn't think it was very good either, so I don't know what the...
Well, the Mardu mana is reasonable, isn't it? So the problem with Jund, right, is it's the new pathways, right? So the pathways isn't a complete cycle for some reason.
No, it's only, ally colours?
There's only 7. There's only 7. This is the weird
wow,
thing. It's
there
not
is
like
only...
they did...
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
It's not like they did enemy colours or they did ally colours. There's only 7, right?
Yeah, there's a select colour pairings for some reason.
The combinations that are missing is there's no black-red.
Yep.
There's no green-black.
Oh, no.
And there's no blue-white.
Yeah, okay.
Every other colour pair exists.
So that's going to be really awkward when you try and build a Jund deck then.
Which really, really hurts Jund. Yeah, I was looking at Jund mana, and it's like, all you have is the temples, 1 pathway, and the Fabled Passage.
That's going to be really awkward if you're doing like an aggressively slanted deck. All those tap lands.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
yeah, that's really rough. So I don't know if that's a path that's worth going down. And especially because like we're building a party deck, right? So
Sure.
base camp should be the card we want, right?
Oh yeah, if you're tapped.
Base camp comes into play tapped.
Yeah, that comes into play tapped as well. That's
why does it come into play tapped?
Because you've got to set up your base camp, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my god! Like, because we had what was the one from Ixalan where it was like Cavern of Souls, but it didn't give things uncounterable. It was like you just chose a creature type and it tapped for any mana for that creature type.
Oh god, you're asking me to think about cards that I haven't thought about in a long time. Was Ikoria? No, Ikoria was. I'm thinking of Eldraine. I was going to say Tournament Ground, but that's the night one.
But yeah, there is not Unknown Shores of the Filterland, but yeah, there is a card that is like, it just taps for any colour of mana for a creature type of your choice. So yeah, that exists. Okay. So I've got no idea why base camp is tapped. Like my theory why base camp is tapped is that I think the rogue deck would have been too good with base camp untapped.
Oh yeah, probably that's just untapped any colour mana for that deck, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because it means like because they had a pathway and they would have the base camp, they would basically have like 2 underground seas. Like it would just be like blue black dual land, no downsides. Like
yeah, that would be really awkward.
I think that was. I reckon it wasn't tapped at one point, and then
somebody went, "Hang on a minute."
There was some crazy, there was some crazy like 2.5 colour allied deck that, yeah, they had to nerf it.
Oh yeah, I think that would make sense.
But yeah, that it does really break my heart that like Jund mana is the one that suffers. Like,
yeah,
because in Mardu you get 2 sets of pathways. Mardu you've got the white black and you've got the red white. Mm-hmm. Mardu, you have all of them.
It's black.
Do you not? Oh, you don't have
red
red black.
black,
Red black, yeah. But yeah, Mardu the mana's not terrible. So yeah, I think there's a little ways to build this.
There's some choices,
but I think we're starting with like 4 Zagras.
Oh yeah, that's
and 4 Null Priests.
Yes.
And how are you feeling about the stonework?
I like the idea just as a thing to kind of smooth out and be a kind of like not a linchpin, but the kind of thing that maybe you don't play it onto, but you can play it to then like activate your Zagras to get them out when you need them. But I don't think it's terrible. I think it's a reasonable assumption. Obviously, I'd much rather play the elf because the elf probably does better things, but that's obviously harder to do.
It's harder to do. I mean, we can humour the idea of being Jund if you like.
I just don't. So I don't know what other than that elf. Like, what does going into green actually get us in terms of usable stuff? Because other than just being like, oh, here's all the good green cards like that exists in standard. But
so right, I thought about this as well, right? And the one card that jumps out at me that you get access to if you move into green is you get Radha.
Oh yeah, that card's cool. Yeah.
Radha lets you play the lands off top of your deck, and she's got First Strike as long as it's your turn.
Yeah.
First Strike Death Touch is a nice combo.
That is a really nice combo, you're not wrong. Yeah, what set was Radha in again?
M21.
Oh, that's a fairly recent card, jeez.
Yeah, and then she can like pump herself +X with X number of lands you control. So that's like again, it's another.
Yeah, that's another mana. Okay, that card's pretty good, damn good, to be honest.
So, I mean, like, if we think about Jund for now, right, and you think like 4 Null Priest, 4 Tajru Paragons, 4 Stonework Pack Beast, 4 Radha. Is there anything else that you think is like an auto include in this deck? Is there any like red black warrior wizards?
Again, this is the thing that going back to kind of what I was saying, where when you start looking at things that can be included in a party, there's not many that you would count as being like quote unquote good, other than the Null Priest, which is I think is a fair card, which is both good and happens to be a cleric. I think that things like Shatter Skull Charger, that 4/3 thing that like it's 3 mana for a 4/3 that has haste and trample, but if it doesn't have +1/+1, it bounces to your hand at the end of turn.
All right, okay.
So that
the
red guy, which is obviously like a very aggressive card. It's like 4/3 haster.
But he doesn't help his curve, right?
No,
He doesn't stay on the board for
this is what I
Zagras.
mean. This was the problem that I had, where that card's obviously good, but it doesn't help us in this situation. So I was like, what else is there? I was like,
right, indulge me for a bit here, right?
Okay.
Right. So we're playing green and black cards,
okay,
right?
Yep.
So what about my boy Cheville, Bane of Monsters?
Cheville, Bane of Monsters. I don't even know what that card is. This is...
So he's in Ikoria.
Okay.
He looks like a Grim
is this the Mythic 2-drop guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's also a rogue.
Is he a rogue? Why is he a rogue? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But he is a human rogue. The guy that puts bounty counters on
Beginning of upkeep, if your opponent controls no permanents with a bounty counter on them, put a bounty counter on a target creature or planeswalker opponent controls. Whenever that creature dies, gain 3 life and draw a card. Okay. So that's like that commander card, that Matthias thing. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
That card, I like that card. That card's cool. That guy with his bare chest and his long coat. And, yeah.
I think he's definitely on the table.
Yeah, I like so.
Now, the other one as well that I'm surprised you haven't mentioned yet, because I think it's a really hype card, is the Robber of the Rich.
Oh, well, yeah, that card's real good. Like, that card's insane. That card's...
So do you think he's an auto-include?
I think so that was going to be the one, out of the, like, looking at party members thing, I had, like, 2 or 3 that were good, and that was one of them, where I was like, yeah, it's a 2/2, it's a rogue, it has haste, it pseudo draws you cards, like it has all the good, like it's all upside to me. So yeah, I would include that.
Okay. So what was your other one? You said you'd...
So right, here's where...
And you missed an Null Priest.
I missed an Null Priest, you're right, but what I did notice, which I think is incredibly weird, but it's there. If you'll indulge me for a second, there is Morgrau, Fury of Akum, which is a big Minotaur lad, but he also is a warrior.
Right, okay. Is he not quite expensive?
But...
okay,
Hear
I'm
me
listening,
out, right?
I'm listening.
He's 6 mana, he's a warrior. Obviously at that point, you're talking about past Zagras at that point, but...
Yeah.
Each creature you control gets +1/+0 each time it's attacked per turn. So if you attack with it, it gets +1/+0. But then it has landfall that then says that you get an additional combat. So you're basically like doing that as kind of like a... I'm thinking, I don't know how it would go, but like in a sort of like turn 7, play a land, get them with 2 attack steps, like that sort of thing.
Now this is quite interesting actually, because I feel like we have come at this from totally different angles, and I think that's really interesting because I think the Morog would be really good in the deck with that enchantment.
With Outlaw's Merriment?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because then you just have like a sea of tokens or whatever. Is that your...
Yeah, right. So like, I'm wondering if we have a go at building this Jund deck, and then we can have a go at building like a more controlling style Mardu deck that like uses like Merriment to like grind folk out, and then has like Zagras or Morag as like
finishers. Yeah, I could see that.
So, because I think if we're trying to be fair with this and put like actual creatures into play, the challenge with building this deck is that like you can't have all warriors or all rogues.
No,
or,
you need your mix.
You do need a mix. So, for example, with what we were talking about there with the Jund deck, right? You've got the Null Priest, so that's 4 clerics. Alright, you've got Robber of the Rich and Chevelle.
Yep.
So they're both rogues. Right? You've got Rada, who's a warrior. So you don't have any wizards.
Yeah.
So are we just...
I mean,
would we just be relying on the Pack
I was going to say
Beast?
your Pack Beast and your Elf, right, to be your pseudo-wizards? Because when I was looking, I couldn't see any real wizards that I would be like, oh, I'll be okay playing that. Like, it's...
So there's two wizards, right, that I think are like playable.
Okay. Tell me about these wizards then.
So the first one is the Heartfire Immolator, who is the guy he's a 2-mana 2/2 with prowess, and he says sacrifice himself, deal damage to a creature or planeswalker equal to his power.
Okay, right, that's not terrible.
Right. So far we've got no way to trigger his prowess, but he's just a goblin creator maker, right?
Yeah.
At that point, he's just like a 2-mana 2/2 that sacks himself
To shock something. Yeah.
Not terrible, right? But then the next one I think is more interesting.
Okay.
Which is the Magmatic Channeler.
Oh, okay.
Right? So like, it has the same problem as the Immolator, because it cares about instants and
Yes.
sorceries, which we don't have at the minute. So as long as there are 4 or more instants or sorceries in the graveyard, it gets +3/+1, and it's a 1/3. It's a 2-mana 1/3. So if you've got 4 or more instants or sorceries, it becomes a 4/4.
Sure.
But if you don't have instant sorceries, it's a 1/3. But it's got tap and discard a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them, you may play it this turn.
Okay, sure. It's that weird sort of like new red sort of draw. That's
Yeah. So like it basically lets you get rid of cards you don't want for cards you do want. But I think this works double duty with what you were talking about before, because it lets us discard cards to reanimate them.
Yes, with an All Priest. Okay.
Yeah, so you see this guy, this Magmatic Channeler in the Croxa decks right now, because like casting Croxa on turn 2 sometimes feels a bit anemic, because your opponent just discards a card they don't care about, and then it's just a 1-for-1. But with the Channeler, you can basically discard Croxa for value, because you discard Croxa, then replace that card, and then you can like reanimate, then you can like escape Croxa later on in the game.
That's fair. That's a sort of like,
so she's already getting used in like Reanimator shells.
Nice wee value engine. That's
yeah. And it also means that you can use her to hit land drops and stuff as well.
Oh yeah, because it's play not cast. Okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah, and especially with Rada, it means that since Rada lets you look at the top card of your deck.
Yeah. So
right?
that gives you more looks. That's your.
So there's a wee combo there, right?
Yeah, that's
so like
nice.
the Magmatic Channeler can clear the top of the deck so that Rada can play a land. But also Rada gives you like information on what's on top of your deck, so you can, with the Channeler, you're like, well, I want to cast that card that's on top of my deck.
Yeah.
I'll discard this card so I can get access to the cards that are on top of my deck.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. That's nice.
Which is a wizard.
Which is a
wizard as well. So for example, if we played like this, right, with these cards we're talking about right now, I've got a wee note here. So if we're counting the Paragons and the Pack Beasts as everything, that would give us 12 clerics, 12 warriors, 14 rogues. I'm only playing 2 Chevelle, I don't think I want a full set of
No, I
Chevelles.
think that's fair.
And 10 wizards. We could play more of the Channeler if we want. This is only 2 Channeler, but we could play more. But there is also another card here that we're very notably not playing, which is the big Nighthawk boy.
Oh yeah, I love that card. Yeah. The problem you have there is that's just
Tarmogoyf Nighthawk.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf Nighthawk. That's just another rogue is the issue, but it is a very cool card.
Yeah. Now see, this is what I was actually finding, because like wizards generally are just blue-red most of the time. And I know it started to bleed out a wee bit in Zendikar just for party stuff, but like, so the problem is like all the good wizards are actually blue. There's very few good red wizards.
Right, yes.
So we're locked out of wizards, and obviously blue-black rogues is a thing. So like, it is a lot of rogues, isn't it? Is the issue.
The problem with that is, or not problem, but the point of that is, if you're going into like a party sort of direction, which we are, does that really matter? Like, do we need to try and hit a full party every time? The Zagras really need to cost 2.
No, not at all. But we do want them to cost 4,
yes,
because that's the sweet spot, right? The sweet spot is going 2, 3, 4.
Which I don't think is hard as of right now, where we've got.
Well, here's the issue: if we've got too many rogues, right? If you go Robber of the Rich, Nighthawk, you can't cast Zagras on 4.
Very true.
If you go Chevelle, Nighthawk, you can't cast Zagras. You know what I mean?
We're
like,
heavy on rogues, aren't we?
and it wouldn't be so bad if the rogues were like all in one point in the curve.
Yeah.
You know, like if it was like if all our three, so like if Radha was a rogue, then that's fine because we go right 2-drop something and then 3-drop rogue. But we've got rogues in 2. We've got quite a lot of rogues in 2 and rogues in 3. So I mean, I really like the scavenger, but like that's obviously like an issue. That might be a big deck building error if we put too many scavengers in after playing robbers and
chevelles. I think that if when we're talking about going down 2 different deck routes or whatever, the slightly more controlling Mardu deck could maybe play that just as a like blocker sort of idea of it kind of blocks everything and gives them a bit of life and stuff. But so I don't think the aggressive deck specifically needs to play Tarmogoyf Nighthawk, but I do like it.
Yeah, he's called the Nighthawk Scavenger. But yeah, so now here's something that I'm realising when I'm writing all this down, right? Just because I'm looking at Magmatic Channeler, right? This deck is currently quite a lot of cards, and like there's no instants and sorceries.
Yeah, again, this would be a problem with trying to do specifically like creature party focused, get Zagras out as quickly as possible sort of thing, because you then need an abundance of creatures to be able to play it.
So do we? Oh, do you know what I just thought?
Oh god, what's up?
What if we just didn't play instants and sorceries?
Just 0 instants and sorceries.
Because do you know what happens if we play all creatures?
What?
We get access to Emori.
Emori? Is that one of the companions?
Yes.
Oh no. Which one is that? I can't even remember all the companions.
It's the one that says it can be your companion if each non-land card in your deck shares a card type. So if you make your deck of all instants, or all sorceries, or all creatures, or all artifacts, which is where it sees the most play, like it's in the all artifacts deck, because then you can have artifacts and artifact creatures.
This is the thing that makes them cost less, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Interesting.
So it's also a pseudo party member, right?
Okay,
because it reduces Zagras' cost by 1, which is what a party member would do.
Sure, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm with you. That's
so it's like an unofficial.
It's an unofficial party. Is it not like a slime or something? I can't.
It's an ooze. It's the party ooze.
The party ooze. Yeah. Okay. That's sure,
and I'm just thinking and I'm just thinking actually like it's not really that bad because like I'm thinking back to Emori decks from when the companion mechanic was broken, right? And I don't think it was broken. I think that's a totally different conversation. I think the party mechanic was fine. I think it did what was intended to do. It's just the player base didn't like that. Yeah. So that's a different conversation. But going back to those decks did those all creature decks that played Emori, they did actually play instants and sorceries in their deck.
Did they?
I let you sit on that one. They did. Now, how would you get around it? How would you play an instant or sorcery that's also a creature?
Oh wait, is it not like a? I was going to say a flip card, but it's not a flip card. It's.
They're not flip cards.
Adventures. That's the one. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. So this is where you start going back into Throne to try and.
Let's go and look at it and see if any of these adventures happen to be clerics, warriors, rogues.
Oh, okay, sure, right, yeah, that's fair enough. Yep. This is, again, but this is where you're gonna hit the problem that I had, where when you go back to Throne of Eldraine, it's a lot of knights and druids and like that sort of thing, but not a lot of warriors.
Yeah, I'm seeing soldiers, I'm seeing peasants, giant unicorn. Yeah. There's a couple of wizards in blue, but we're not there.
What's
Brazen Borrowers or
Murderous Rider's a knight, isn't it?
It's a knight, but it might be too good not to.
Oh yeah,
I
think if you're talking about an Emori route where you need some sort of interaction, Murderous Rider's probably too good not to play.
Now, is Bonecrusher Giant not in the same boat then?
Yes, it would be. Because that's our like interaction, which is.
If we add some Bonecrusher Giants and some Murderous Riders. Right.
We're now just accepting that this is an Emori deck, right? Is this not the?
Well, I mean, let's see what the Emori deck looks like, right?
I'm with you.
Okay, so if let's say this is an Emori deck, right? Now we don't have any 1-drops.
That's awkward. Okay.
Which is potentially an issue. But like I was saying before, we have a lot of tapped lands.
Oh yeah, with the bad Jund mana, yeah.
Because we're having to play
Yep, yep.
temples, right? So potentially it's not a huge issue.
No, I don't
right?
think so.
So we can go at tap land on 1 and then play 2-drop, and then on turn 2 we can play tap land 2-drop because we've got a lot of 2-drops here.
Yeah, so you go
Like,
tap land, play a thing, tap land, play a thing is the 3-turn
So
order.
so at the minute, right, this deck as is has 22 drops.
Jesus, okay, that's a lot of 2-drops.
So like we've got 4 Null Priest, 4 Robber of the Rich, 2 Channelers, 2 Chevals, 4 Pack Beast, 4 Tajura Paragons.
Yeah.
So that's your 22 drops, right?
Although, like,
And
at that point, if you're talking about that many 2-drops, surely we're not counting Null Priest as a 2-drop. Like, how in that deck, how often are you casting that as a 2-drop?
sure, but I mean, you're casting as a 2-drop when like
When you really have to,
When
but that's...
when you need it as a 2-drop. Yeah. Like I mean, you can imagine hands that are like Null Priest, 2 Bone Crusher Giants, Zagras, 3 lands.
Yeah,
You know what I
sure,
mean? Like,
sure.
So then you're going like and then I've got 3 Murderous Riders, 4 Bone Crusher Giants, 4 Rada seems wrong to me.
Probably 3.
Probably 3
yeah.
Rada.
Because that's your, like, it's legendary, but I still want to draw it level of cards in your deck. Yeah.
I can believe that. And then you've got the 4 Zagras, and I've got 2 Scavengers right now. Now there is one more boy,
Okay.
right, that I think we should consider playing. And it's Rankle.
Yes, so yeah, but he again is a rogue, right? This is another
okay.
rogue that we have in this almost all rogues deck. But he is very good, but
So, well, here's the thing: do we cut rogues to play Rankle? Because I think he might be.
so you think he's good enough to cut some amount of rogues?
As much as I hate it, it might just be Chevelle.
I was gonna say, if
ro-
you're cutting rogues or to make space for bigger rogues, I think it's probably Chevelle. Because I think Rankle's probably better than
Yeah.
Chevelle. Because Rankle at least lets you
Yeah.
draw a card with, like, not the preamble of having to be like, here's a counter on a thing, okay, I'll kill that. That just has to hit him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's also like he's also like the Zagras 5 through 6, right? He's just another. He's like a 4
Yeah.
mana. Well, he is
Yeah.
4 mana. He's like a 4 mana haste.
And
threat.
he's like got discard in him, and like I think that's probably fair. I think your bare chest boy is probably getting in the bin for this little plucky sprite that is.
But his colours are.
I know you like the
ah,
colours. I understand that you like the colours. Everybody understands that you like the colours, but. And it is a cool card, but I just don't think it's as good as Rankle. If you're talking about playing a deck that you want to be good, that's...
Yeah. Okay, so let's recap where we're at. So we are on right. 4 Null
Yep.
Priest, 4 Robber of the Rich, 4 Paragons, 4 Pack
Yep.
Beast, and 2 Magmatic Channelers.
Okay.
So that's your
Is it better to have 2 Channelers and 4 Pack Beasts, or 4 Channelers and 2 Pack Beasts?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I just feel like the Pack Beasts are like just the best thing you can be playing if you're trying to get Zagras.
Yeah,
right?
if you're trying to get Zagras out as fast as possible, they're probably the best thing you could do.
So yeah, and then how many Nighthawks are we saying?
Are we playing
2?
Nighthawks in this deck? Because that's just another rogue that
It's another rogue.
that just gets in on 3, and I thought that was the whole conversation, is why we're not playing it, is because it's like then you're probably
What
going
are you-
like rogue.
What are you playing on?
Yeah,
3
so
then?
this is the problem that I was finding, is that 3 gets kind of strange after a while. Because there's not a lot there.
Oh, right. This is another rogue.
God, okay.
But what about the acquisition expert? The one that like you thought.
Oh yeah, so that yeah. Is that not a 2-drop? I thought that was a 2-drop. Okay.
It is a 2-drop, but it's a 2-drop that we've not mentioned yet.
That card is good, but is that not like you look at the number of cards depending on how many people you have in your party? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's, I guess he counts for himself, but then you're just like looking at one card and.
Yeah. So. What if we trim Robber of the Rich?
Okay. Sure.
Like, down to 2 Robber of the Rich. And play 4 acquisition experts. And then that's us. So acquisition experts just like replaced the Chevelle.
I thought Rankle did that.
Yeah,
now you're just putting more creatures
I
in.
just mean
Less.
I just mean on the curve. Like, so if so listen to this, right? 4 acquisition experts, 4 Null Priest of Oblivion,
Yeah.
2 Robber of the Rich, 2 Magmatic Channelers, right? And then our 8 guys that are both creature types. They're all creature types. 2 Nighthawks, 2 Radar,
Okay.
2 Rankle,
Okay.
Zagras, and then our adventure package.
There's still a lot of rogues in it.
It is 1, 2. It is it's 10 rogues. So it's as many rogues as we had before.
Okay, it's the same number of rogues. We are heavy on the rogues, but we still have some warriors. We have a warrior. Oh no, because we've got the 8 cards that count as anything. So that's. So in theory, then you're probably getting to 4 mana with 2 different creature types.
There is. Now here's the thing. There is a warrior that you haven't mentioned.
Okay, I'm sure. I assumed there
that I
would
think
be.
is passable, right? And it's the Cargan.
I was going to say, is this the Cowards Can't Block Warriors card? But yeah.
Yeah.
So this, I was also thinking of this card as well. I just didn't know if a 3/1 for 2 like hung in standard at all. Like I don't know if that card's good or not. But
yeah, it just doesn't seem.
No,
good
that's
enough.
that's kind of what I
Like,
mean. I really like the card.
here's-
It's super interesting and really cool, but I just don't know that it's like good enough. Is the problem?
Yeah. Now here's the other reason, right, that I think we can slightly overload on rogues,
Okay.
right? Is that see the cards that Robber of the Rich
Yeah.
gets? You can cast those cards any turn you attack with a rogue. It's not just Robber
okay.
of the Rich. Now, Robber of the Rich, you only get the card when you attack with Robber of the Rich, but then that card stays in like exile, and then you get access to them any turn you attack with a rogue. So even after the robber dies, any cards that he has robbed.
Okay, so you
if he
kind of have this. So if the robber gets like a couple of cards, you then have a way of like constantly having access to them. Okay, that's not terrible.
It's basically like is the robber. I mean, like I think it's just we can't really overload on rogues. Is the big issue. Because like I was going to say, are we just going to cut Magmatic Channelers to play more robbers? But I think just having 2 and 2 for the sake of like the rogue split is probably.
I think that's fine.
So this is 37 cards.
Okay.
So I mean that's 23 lands if we want to ship that. So what do the lands look like? So unfortunately it's
your 8 temples.
So Temple of Malice.
Oh no, not 8 temples, 12 temples, right?
Oh yeah, there is 12 temples. I don't know if we want
probably
to play 12
not.
temples.
That seems too.
Because we've got the pathway, because we're going to play the red green pathway.
Yes.
So like that's four red black temple, 4 green black temple, 4
pathway,
4 fabled passage. And that only leaves us with like 7 basics.
That's not terrible.
So like swamps.
I imagine. So what? Thinking about it, I'm trying to think about what mana we need. We obviously need red and black to hit Zagras.
We actually only have 6 green cards in this
Okay,
deck.
that's not that bad.
So we are just a red-black deck splashing for like Rada and the Paragon. So then it's like 3 swamps, 3 mountains, 1 forest. Yeah, there's your 60. And then like, I guess our sideboard at that point, we probably want like the rest of the Nighthawks.
Yeah,
2 Nighthawks.
They probably go in.
Since we're in green, we can like take scavenging uses.
That's always useful to have.
We can play the Titan.
The Titan? Which Titan? Croxa or
what's his name?
Ah, okay.
Croxa.
You want him in the board? Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you bring him in against the
That
Mildex.
makes sense.
We can also play the Spider, the Spider against the one that the Chainer Arachnid.
Chainer Arachnid.
Yeah. So it's like it's a 1 mana 1/2 with reach, and when it comes in, it fights a flyer, and then like it escapes as like a 4/5.
Okay.
So like it's good against rogues because like they mill it over and then
you
like
get them with it later. Yeah. That's
yeah. And then like if you combo that with Croxa, then like we've got a really good like anti-rogue package. Now remember Umori, that takes up a
of
cycle
course,
slot.
yeah. I totally forgot this was an Amori deck. That's
Do you have any spicy one-offs?
This is typically where we would get kind of crazy. So I'm trying to look through and see if there's anything cool that we could pull off here. I like there's some cool cards like stuff like the black, what they called inscriptions, like the black inscription and the green inscriptions. You know those kicker spells,
Mate, we're on the Mori deck.
Oh yeah, we can't fucking play that. Oh man, that's really annoying. Okay.
We can play the disenchant, the mutate disenchant.
The mutate disenchant. Oh, Gem Razor. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, how many not humans do we have?
Most of them, right? In fact, all of them apart from
Robber of the Rich.
Robber and oh no, we've got the acquisitions expert. But a lot of our things are elves.
Okay, that's not so bad.
We've got a lot of elves up. We've got elves. We've got vampires.
Yeah, chuck some Gem Razors in then. That card's great.
Okay, some Gem Razors go in. What else?
Yeah, I'm trying to. This is gonna get more difficult now that I remember that this is an Amori deck and I can't play. I can't play spells. I need to figure out cool creatures to play.
Oh wait, hang on. This is really awkward. We can't play all these sweet like castles either because we don't have enough basics. We don't have like swamps in our deck for Castle Lochwain.
You can't play that stuff.
Like the nice thing is we don't need to take stuff like Freebooter because we already have the acquisitions expert in the main. We could play a couple of Freebooters though, like just because they actually do hand attack into like control decks.
Yeah, that would probably be useful just in case I control. So we've got like a package against rogues. If we take some Freebooters, we've got some stuff against control because we can't play like planeswalkers or anything like that. So it's not.
Yeah. I mean, we're hoping things like Rankle and the fact that we basically have 8 cards with Amori are going to like let us grind.
Yeah, that would be the hope.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can like just disrupt them enough with like acquisitions expert and Kitesail Freebooter, Croxas, like you know what I mean. Like, I think we're set up to play like a long game there. And then we've got things like I actually think we're pretty good against aggro, right? Because we've got like
you've got your Nighthawks.
We've got a million. We've got a million.
Loads of 2-drops.
Well.
Like,
yeah. We've got Gem Razors to go after the Ember Cleaves. And we've just got like a decent removal package in our adventures.
It's a decent setup, you know.
I think we don't have any spicy one-off in this cycle.
That's sad. I don't like it when we don't have something spicy, but it's more difficult when you're just being like, what creature in these 3 colours can we put off that's like sweet, that Because there's not a lot in these colours that I'm looking at that I'm like, oh man, this card could be fun to have in a board.
Okay, so I mean, I think we can just go on to something sweet by thinking about like this
This like slightly more controlling Mardu deck that you're.
But yeah, I think that's us for Jund, right? So like, yeah, that's a Jund deck. That's a 75 card Jund deck, and I'll give that one a go. I might even record some videos with that one. Yeah, but like this conversation's already running a bit long, especially if we're going to do 2 decks. So what I think we should do is we can split this into 2 parts, and if folk want to hear about the Mardu deck, they can tune into the next episode of Brew Sesh. So if anyone out there does try this Jund deck, please let me know how it's going for you. Just let us know in the comments, and yeah, we can maybe come back to this deck at a later point and try and tweak it and make it a bit better than this draft one. But thank you everyone for listening, and hopefully you tune in for the next episode where we will put together Aseth's Mardu variant.